insurance. And the reason why, because agriculture in Africa, as opposed to other regions, is by smallholder farmers. And it's very risky to cover that group unless you come up with a new ways of doing it. So that's what we call agriculture, and that we are focused on that area. And because of that, we invested in a climate risk adaptation company we call ECA Africa. They are represented in the tents. You can see them. And what do? They bring technology to be able to de-risk agriculture and agriculture insurance. And that way then we can be able to cover farmers. And because of that, technology, 2022, 2021, we were appointed by the regional countries of the Horn of Africa. There is what we call Horn of Africa initiatives to provide cover for the Horn of Africa region for what we call pastoral economy. The project is called De-risking, Inclusion and Value Enhancement of Pastoral Economies. And what have we done with that? Using technology, we are able to give cover for drought, which we could not be able to do without technology. And again, because we are using technology, we are then able to be able to buy, the pastoralists are able to buy cover wherever they are, and when there is a claim, we are able to pay them directly. We are proud about that. It's a World Bank funded project, and we were happy that on behalf of the member states, we were able to bring our skill to de-risk our farmers. The list can continue, but for the sake of time, let me stop there.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a clap. Yeah, I was a bit generous because I know trade and investment and involves a lot of risks, and so it's important that you explore, and share some of those products that you have. Last but not least, we have Triple C. Kindly also just introduce yourself and what you do in your organization, in highlighting your achievements that you've made and the priorities that you have for the future.
Thank you very much. I'm Boniface Makongo, Director of Competition at the Comesa Competition Commission, and I'm representing my CEO, Dr. Willard Mwemba. I think the first thing I should do is, it's likely that there are very many people who don't know exactly what Comesa Competition does, or in a broad sense, what the role of a competition agency is. So regulation of competition essentially is there in the context of a liberalized market. You are aware that many of our African countries started off at independence as some kind of command economy, where the government played a very important role in determining especially the prices of basic commodities. And then somewhere along the way, we realized that in order to hasten development, there was need to open up to investment and for the government to free up the economy to the private sector. So to ensure that you don't have a scenario where the private entities lock up sectors, either through collusion or you have cartels, and other anti-competitive practices that negatively impact the ability of other players to enter into a market or force players out through things like predatory pricing. It's important to have a competition agency. So in many jurisdictions, you would have a competition agency both at national level, whose jurisdiction is basically the national aspects of competition. And in the context of COMESA, which is a common market, whose objective is free and liberalized trade, you need to also have a competition agency at that level to ensure that the players in the common market play by the rules. Otherwise, then you may end up not being able to realize the objectives of free and liberalized trade. So that's why we exist. And just to also note that globally, other than the EU, we are the second other competition agency that has succeeded in enforcing competition law on a regional scale. Now, to also inform you is that one of the roles that we have as a competition agency is to ensure that as much as possible, all countries in the common market also have competition agencies, because it becomes very difficult to only enforce competition at regional level if there is no other agency doing it at national level. And coming to the first major achievement of the COMESA Competition Commission is that currently, out of the 21 member states of COMESA, 19 either have a functional competition agency, which is enforcing competition, or they have a law which is in the process of being implemented to establish a competition agency, or are in the process of enacting a law. So that, from our perspective, is significant progress. Also, we also want to avoid a scenario where you have too many layers of enforcement of competition, because that beats the purpose. That is not the intention of having competition regulation. So it is normally important to have clarity to ensure that if you're a business, you're either being investigated at regional level because your transaction meets the regional dimension, or at national level. We don't want to have, you're a business and you have all sorts of, investigations going on at the same time. So one of the things we work very hard to ensure is to ensure that there's no duplication of that nature by having a one-stop shop. So it's very clear which matters fall within the ambit of the regional, which is the COMESA Competition Commission, and which matters fall within the national agencies, even those that are coming up. Equally, it's important to appreciate how then what the competition agency looks at. And largely, we look at two aspects in enforcement of competition. One is market structure. And market structure essentially is straightforward, is basically how many entities are in a particular sector offering goods or services. So how we regulate market structure is to ensure that in the context of a national competition agency, if there's a merger which meets a certain threshold, i.e. it's likely to raise competition concerns based on market shares and other considerations, it is approved by the national agency. And if it has a cross-border perspective, it's approved by ourselves. We tend to want to avoid small transactions involving SMEs which have no competition effect. So we would not be looking at those. We are looking at significant transactions where you're acquiring or you're taking over a farm, because ultimately we want to avoid some monopolistic scenarios forming in various sectors of the economy. The other aspect that we look at is market conduct. So market conduct is you investigate and sanction if there are instances where there's a cartel in an economy, or where you have dominant firms that abuse their dominance. But this has to be in the context for the regional competition agency of those that have cross-border effect. With regard to mergers, we have done a commendable job because since inception, we have handled 487 mergers to date. And in the last 3 years, we handled 124. So we've seen a marked increase in the number of mergers that we handle. And this is partly because more and more businesses are aware about the work that we do and the need to comply. An important perspective to bring out is that in the context of the mergers that we've handled in the last 3 years, for instance, the 124 I talked about, the farms that are involved generated a turnover of $110 billion in the common market, so that is quite significant from an investment perspective. And these are in various sectors, including aviation, mining, banking, insurance, agriculture, among other sectors that we have. As a commission, we have also undertaken investigation in enforcement. And by enforcement, I mean where we investigate and sanction entities that engage in anti-competitive business practices. And in this area, we have been very successful in sanctioning entities, for instance, that are in the alcoholic beverages sector, where we have been investigating anti-competitive businesses. Lastly, with regard to the investigations that we do, we also have a consumer welfare mandate. And in that regard, we have also undertaken investigations in aviation sector. You are aware that there is a tendency, especially in our region, largely maybe because we are not as developed as other regions, for there to be differential treatment of consumer issues, especially in the aviation sector. So you'll find an airline treats people in the common market in a very differential manner. Consumer rights are not taken very seriously because there is no fear of any consequences. So we've done quite a number of cases in that regard in our consumer protection mandate. And we have also investigated some cases in the digital space. One of the key ones involved Uber, where previously there are terms and conditions provided for if you wanted to challenge any contravention, you had to file suit in the Netherlands. We compelled them to change their law so that the applicable law is national law, and it makes it easier if you're a consumer in Kenya to go to a Kenyan court as opposed to having to file suit in, say, the Netherlands, which many of us, I'm sure, have never even gone to. Equally, to support what I said about member states coming up and establishing competition agencies, we do undertake significant technical assistance, and as a result, quite a number of member states have enacted legislation. They have established agencies. We have capacity built them in terms of ensuring that they have the requisite skills and knowledge to enforce competition. I think I'd like to stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, for that. Yeah. I can see the moderator is quite uncomfortable. I thought we have saved some time, even for 1 or 2 questions to the panelists.
We cannot take questions. Maybe your closing remarks just for 1 minute, and then we can close.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No, I want to thank the panelists for having ably shared their achievements and aspirations. We all agree that commercial institutions have very rich menus and products, and which we can use as a region to boost inter-trade and investment, and also, support the COMESA vision of ensuring or using integration for sustainable growth and development. So I want to thank you very much, and I want to thank the audience for your perseverance. I know the sugar levels are down, but just to assure you that the audience, particularly that all the commercial institutions will be attending this forum up to the end. So if you have any burning questions, you can always reach out to them to respond to them. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A round of applause. Thank you very much. Panelists, could you kindly stand for a photo session as we close this panel? Of course, it is not easy to summarize 30 years of impact of COMESA in just 45 minutes, so thank you very much for sharing those thoughts. We have come to the end of the panels this day, but we would like to get a few words from the partners and sponsors that made this event possible. And first, we'd like to invite Dr. Joy Kategekwa, who is the Director of Africa Development Bank. If she's in the room. Yes, there she is running. Thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes on stage.
Thank you very much indeed. I know that we're pressed for time, so I'll keep it really brief. Thank you very much to the COMESA Secretariat for the opportunity, the COMESA Business Council, given to the AFDB group to share today. You know, regional integration is Africa's development pathway of choice. And this is why the African Development Bank Group is committed to supporting regional integration. We have a strong and valued partnership with COMESA Secretariat across a range of areas, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's 50 Women Speak, you know, whether it's transport corridors and so on and so forth. And so under the leadership of President Sidi Ould Tah, we are committing and recommitting our force in continuing to work with COMESA. We see huge opportunities, especially in the realm of industrialization. When you think about Africa today, there's so many opportunities in deepening COMESA's own integration, but also in seizing the opportunities in the African Continental Free Trade Area. And so we look forward to working with COMESA in this regard. Conversations are ongoing with the COMESA Business Council, and we look very much forward to coming back next year and talking a little bit more about what that looks like. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kategekwa, for keeping it very short. And I would like to invite KNCCI, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Acting CEO, that is KK Mutai. If you are in the room, kindly join us here on the front. Karibu sana. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes on.
Okay, thank you so much for this great opportunity. My name is KK Mutai, CEO, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I think it has, let me ride on the already established protocols. First and foremost, I think it is great privilege for KNCCI to join you at this 18th COMESA business. I agree with I agree COMESA is a great opportunity. We need to seize this opportunity. The large market and the large market size, the common heritage, the destiny, which we all share the same destiny, I think, and the great social and economic cooperation. I think we have an opportunity as a region, no doubt about it. We share the boundaries, the the inter-border and cross-border trade within the region. Allow me to begin to congratulate the COMESA Secretariat and all the sponsors for sustaining this vital engagement that continues to shape the region's economic and industrial agenda. The consistency of this forum over the years is a clear testament to the power of partnerships between governments, the private sector, the civil society, and the development partners. As one of the proud sponsors of this year's forum, KNCCI, that is Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, reaffirms our commitment to advancing regional dialogue, promoting sustainable trade, and ensuring that African businesses remain competitive in a global marketplace. Briefly, at KNCCI, or the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we believe that regional integration must be private-driven. Across COMESA, the 21 or the over 21 member states, enterprises, particularly small and medium-sized businesses, are responsible for nearly over 80% of employment and contribute over 60% of GDP within the region. These businesses are the real engines of inclusive growth and social transformation. Lastly, KNCCI, where we represent over 100,000 businesses across Kenya's 47 counties, serving as the bridge between the private sector and the government. Through partnerships with regional chambers, we facilitate trade missions, business-to-business linkages, policy advocacy to unlock opportunities within the Comesa market with over 600 million inhabitants or people. However, for integration to translate into tangible benefits, we must work collectively to remove persistent barriers, such as non-tariff measures, high logistics costs, and fragmented border procedures that continue to impede trade across the region. Lastly, distinguished delegates, the 18th Comesa Business Forum is more than a gathering. It is a catalyst for action. The private sector represented by Kenya Chamber of Commerce and Industry and our counterparts across the region stand ready to lead through the innovation, investment, and enterprise. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening. Good evening.
Thank you very much for your words representing the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that is the acting CEO, KK Mutai. Now, I would like to welcome a representative from KIPI, that is the Kenya Industrial Property Institute. If there is a representative from KIPI in the room? Going once, going twice. All right, thank you. We will move on to the closing session for this particular day. We will jump the coffee break. And let me hand it over to my colleague O'Brien to lead us through that session. Thank you.
Thank you. Some rounds of applause for Betty. Thank you very much indeed. I mean, I must admit that you're quite phenomenal that you're still around despite the urge to go and visit the great city of Nairobi. You decided to stick around, and I know that there will be time for that. And by the way, if you haven't visited our national parks, then you're committing a crime. You need not to leave this country before you visit our national parks, our museums. And by the way, from where we are, about 15 kilometers south of Nairobi, there's a world-class Nairobi National Park. And about 10 kilometers from where we are, west of Nairobi, there is the world-acclaimed National Museum of Kenya. And about 700 kilometers from where we are, you can visit the Lamu Archipelago, which is a UNESCO heritage site. And about 675 kilometers from where you are, you can visit Turkana County, which is the home of mankind. It's good to go home and see where you came from. Sindio, is that okay? Yeah, just go there, have a look at the lake, just walk around and see where your great ancestors came from. It's a beautiful time. And of course, Nairobi is also known as the shopping capital of Africa. You can't live here without sampling some of the best shopping destinations and shopping malls here in Africa. I know I am standing between you, closing remarks and coffee. I don't want to do that. I want to invite Mr. James Chimwanza, the president of CBC, to take us through the resolutions of the forum. Mr. James Chimwanza, the president of Comesa Business Council, are you in the house? Yes, he's coming. That is the man who is going to share with us the resolutions of the House, and this is where silence is needed and attention is critical, because he's coming with a very serious document. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director of Ceremonies. Before I offer the Comesa draft declaration, I just would like to ask the board members of Comesa Business Council who are present here to just stand where you are and wave so that we are all seen. Board members. Okay, some have stepped out, but at least we've got, there's quite a bit of good gender. At least two ladies have stood up, and a gentleman, and another. But they were all here. They may have just stepped out. But I thought I should ask them to stand and that we all see them. Because what I'm going to read here is the work of the entire CBC team. All protocols observed. I am going to read the COMESA Business Draft Declaration of 2025. We, the regional business community, under the umbrella of COMESA Business Council, herein present COMESA Business Declaration 2025 of the 18th COMESA Business Forum under the theme, Leveraging Digitalization to Deepen Regional Chains for Sustainable and Inclusive Growth, held on 7th October 2025 in Nairobi, Kenya, at the Kenyatta International Conference Center, KICC. Expressing our gratitude to His Excellency, the President of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, the government and people of Kenya for hosting the 18th COMESA Business Forum. Express gratitude to the Vice President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Professor Kithure Kindiki, for opening the 18th COMESA Business Forum. Furthermore, expressing gratitude to the COMESA Secretariat, COMESA institutions, partners, and sponsors for supporting the 18th Business Forum. The key resolutions of the Business Declaration were discussed and agreed upon during the forum. They will be presented to the 24th Summit of the COMESA Heads of State and Government on 9th October 2025 as a declaration by the business community in the common market for their consideration. We hereby declare as follows. 1, general. A, COMESA member states are urged to consider fast-tracking the resolution of the existing long-standing non-tariff barriers, NTBS, which are adversely affecting intra-COMESA trade. B, COMESA member states should consolidate and deepen the implementation of COMESA Free Trade Area, FTA, and COMESA EAC SADC Tripartite Free Trade Area, TFTA, as steps towards the implementation of the AFCFTA agreement, as well as moving towards convergence to the realization of Africa Economic Community, ECA, AEC. C, COMESA member states should align national development plans and economic policies to commitments undertaken under the COMESA Treaty. D, COMESA Secretariat and institutions to work together to create awareness of COMESA trade facilitation instruments such as COMESA Yellow Card. 2, boosting agriculture productivity through smart agriculture to enhance value chain competitiveness. A, member states and the private sector to prioritize investment in integrated market infrastructure, including rural processing hubs, comprehensive cold chain networks from farm gate to export markets, and digitally enabled logistics corridors that reduce post-harvest losses and ensure compliance with international quality standards for key value chains such as horticulture and other key value chains. B, COMESA institutions, TDB, ATIDI, ZEPRI, and development partners are urged to mobilize blended finance to establish market and trade-related facilities in strategic production zones. C, COMESA member states to leverage on the digital information system like Regional Food Balance Sheet, RFBS, to identify regional food supply gaps, optimize resource allocations, and design targeted interventions for enhancing food security and trade. D, COMESA member states to encourage digital warehouse receipt system in order to reduce post-harvest losses in COMESA by enabling farmers to store produce in certified warehouses and receive digital receipts, transforming them into bankable collateral for loans, thus improving market access, price stability, and income for smallholder farmers. E, COMESA seed trade harmonization regulations to be implemented across COMESA to improve access for smallholder farmers to quality and improved seeds, which is critical for increased agricultural productivity. It will also facilitate the trade of high-quality, climate-resilient seeds, improving access to farmers, boosting regional productivity. 3, digitalization of trade in COMESA. Encourage COMESA member states to accelerate the adoption and use of digital platforms for customs clearance, e-certificates of country of origin, and trade finance instruments to streamline cross-border trade across the region. 4, promotion of investment COMESA region. COMESA member states are urged to continue maintaining African Trade and Investment Development Insurance, ATIDIs, preferred credit status, PCS, to enhance the organization's ability to operate effectively across COMESA, increase investor confidence, and continue de-risking trade and investment for COMESA member states. B, establish COMESA regional digital platforms for investments and trade credit risk data sharing to de-risk supply chains and strengthen resilience of SMEs development, cross-border trade, and investments across the region. C, promote digital financial solutions and partnerships with the development finance institutions, DFIs, insurers and fintechs to expand access to affordable financing for women, youth, and SMEs along regional value chains. 5, enhancing trade throughout digital transformation focusing on logistics and transport. A, regional manufacturers to consider participating on the digital supply chain platform to facilitate reduction of costs, increasing efficiency, and expanding market reach throughout technologies and e-commerce platforms. Through technologies and e-commerce platforms. B, COMESA member states are also urged to promote regional flight connectivity and put measures in place to facilitate reduction of regional travel costs to encourage regional and international travelers, especially tourists. 6, movement of business persons in the COMESA region. COMESA member states are urged to continue removing restrictions on the free movement of people and urge COMESA Business Council and COMESA Secretariat to fully implement the decision of the Comesa Council of Ministers on development of Comesa Business Visa to facilitate the movement of business persons and reduce the cost of doing business. That marks the declaration draft. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. President, for taking us through the resolutions. And I am excited about digitization and, of course, giving small businesses access to bigger markets within the Comesa region. And I hope that these conversations will continue to ensure that the Comesa the CBC 18 doesn't become just a talk shop, but it becomes a platform where critical dialogue happened and the way forward was identified. Allow me now to invite Government of Kenya representative who is going to move a vote of thanks. This is none other than the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Trade, Ms. Ombam. Let's give her a round of applause. By the way, she's been with us throughout the morning, throughout the afternoon, and if we decide to continue throughout the night, she's going to be with us. Is it true? Yes, indeed, but we are not planning to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, O'Brien. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as we bring the 18th Comesa Business Forum high-level dialogue to a close, it is my privilege once again on behalf of the Government of Kenya and the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry to convey our sincere gratitude. First, I wish to thank our guest of honor, His Excellency Professor Kithure Kindiki, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, my Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, the Comesa Secretariat, and the Comesa Business Council, because your support has underscored the importance of this dialogue, not only to Kenya, but to the wider Comesa region. I wish to acknowledge our panelists, moderators, and speakers for the depth of insights and the practical recommendations shared. The quality of discussions today has reflected both the expertise within our region and our collective resolve to address the challenges and opportunities before us. To our private sector leaders, development partners, and our captains of industry, your contributions have been invaluable. It is through your partnerships that we will translate policy into action and drive inclusive and sustainable growth across Comesa. To all participants, I thank you for your active engagement. The recommendations generated here will form part of the Comesa Business Declaration to be presented to the Summit of Heads of State and Government, ensuring that the voice of the private sector is well reflected at the highest level. Distinguished delegates, today we have reaffirmed that by harnessing digitalization, deepening regional value chains, and strengthening collaboration, Comesa can unlock unprecedented opportunities for our people. Once again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Madam PS, for keeping it short and simple. Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the tail end of this meeting today. And to give the closing remarks, I want to invite on stage Dr. Dev Haman, Assistant Secretary General, Administration and Finance at Comesa. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good evening to all of you. I can see how productive you have been during the whole day. First of all, to be here seated, and secondly, listening to all the speakers, and thirdly, also to be listening to me. But first of all, let me recognize and extend our gratitude to our host. And here we have the Principal Secretary, who has just spoken before me, and through her to the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Lee, and through the Minister to the Cabinet Secretary. We want to really acknowledge our guest of honor who came here this morning. And he gave a very wonderful, I would say, keynote. I would also like through him now to recognize our host, the President of the Republic of Kenya. With that said, I would like also to give a big thank to all our speakers and you, the participants, and also those who have come from far to share the experiences with us. It is the 18th Business Forum, but in terms of bringing it to such a level, such a high level where we bring the business sector in touch with the public sector, in touch with the academia, and also in touch with the rest of the world, it is the third edition. Now, I would like to recognize my two bosses who were here in the morning. As you can see, Mr. Cindy Sogwenya, the former Secretary General. There was another one, Erastus Mwencha, who left. And they were telling me, Dave, well done and congratulations. But I say, I learned from you, Mr. Cindy Sogwenya. I learned from Erastus Mwencha. I also learned from my current boss, but I also learned from all of you. COMESA is a listener. We don't just move without listening to your voice. We can only move when you tell us in which direction to move. And that is what COMESA is all about. You told us that bring digitalization closer to you. And this is what has already started. I'm sure you benefited. I don't have to go through all those things that COMESA, together with its institutions, are doing, and together with its partners. Of course, we have heard about the pace at which we should be moving. We should be moving. I think one of my colleagues from the institution was saying that time has come not for us to walk, but to do what we call to run, to catch up with the rest of the world. Yes, we have to catch up. But it is possible because we have a population that is very young. Africa is a continent that has got almost 70% of the youth and the women. And the youth can really, the fastest runner comes from Kenya. I'm sure you have watched on the TV. And the fastest, I would say, entrepreneurship, the people who have got innovative minds are also from Africa. And we have a market. I want to bring 2 or 3 corrections for my colleagues, the media. I know that you are not the one responsible, but it is the information, the way it has been circulated. COMESA is a market of 682 million people. A market of 682 million. So going forward, I hope whatever we say it is a market of 682 million. Secondly, the GDP of COMESA is 1.1 plus trillion dollars. I know that our website or maybe some of the magazine may be carrying maybe some information which you have picked, but 682 million, GDP of 1.1 trillion plus, and our area is 12 million square kilometers. 12 million square kilometers. Now you can imagine with 10, 12 million square kilometers, what we can do. And that's the reason why we brought to you the buyers from Europe. We brought to you the buyers from Europe with the help of the EU, so that they speak directly to our farmers. They speak directly to our producers, so that we can take advantage of that market. Today, what we are doing, we do not want to focus on external suppliers. Because if we have 682 million customers or consumers, we need to have suppliers, manufacturers from within. That is what we are doing. You have a market of 682, but why should we get suppliers from outside? Of course, I'm not saying that we don't need. Or why should we be not having suppliers from within? And that's the reason why we requested our suppliers here to come and talk to the government, talk to the public sector, and we have taken note from the declaration that you have just heard. Of course, digitalization is the priority for all of us, not only for COMESA, even our development partners are with us, because really we want to grow our GDP from 1.1 trillion to 2 trillion. You know, 1 trillion will represent 1/3 of the continent. So we want to grow it to 2 trillion. And it can only be possible if we use or leverage on digitalization. Of course, we heard bottlenecks for you to be doing your trade. We are removing those bottlenecks, and the private sector, please help us also to remove the bottlenecks. And we're also making an appeal to the public sector. Let's not bring new bottlenecks, but instead we need to remove. Now we go to a bigger market than 682 million, which is now the tripartite. The tripartite market, which consists of the East African Community, COMESA, and SADC. It is 800 million people. You can imagine how big is that market. And now you suppliers, you manufacturers, you SMEs, this is your market. And nobody can deprive you of this market. Of course, we brought the bank to you, our TDB bank, who started with 10 million. Today they are grown into 10 billion. We brought RTD in terms of the business underwriting that they are doing, 88 billion. We brought the Competition Commission so that you know your rights. We brought the leather and leather products so that you know the market of leather that we have here. We brought our Women in Business, the Federation of the Women in Business, and we brought so many of them so that you take advantage. Now, my two bosses were even telling me that what you are doing once in a year is not enough. I do agree with them, but we will not be able to be present in all these 21 countries throughout the whole year. And that's where now we request the government, our coordinating ministries, and what Ms. Regina has done, sensitize the Kenyan. And we want every coordinating ministry in the COMESA region to sensitize the people of COMESA. And that is very, very critical, and we need you to do that. The media people, I think before Monday, I was told that very few people knew about what was COMESA. And Madam Regina, Miss Regina had to appear on the TV. And he taught and he gave the lesson to everybody. Today there are people who are coming to me and saying, do you know what COMESA is? It's a trading bloc, and we can do business. Are you doing business? I say, yes, I'm doing business. So there are people coming and interacting and saying, what Comesa? And this is what we want to see. We want you people to be an agent. You have information, share the information. Government alone will not be able, but you will be able to do that. So I have come here to thank all of you and to invite you for the next edition of the Business Forum, which is going to take place in another country. But in the meantime, please keep reading our website. Please keep reading our brochure, our newspaper, our newsletter. If you are not receiving our daily or our weekly newsletter, I have requested my colleague from the PR to get your name and to be sending you the newsletter that is being produced at least twice a week, so that you know what all this is happening. And to my surprise today, and when I saw it in the declaration, I heard in the declaration that Comesa Yellow Card, which we always thought was the most known product of Comesa, came to be a product that has been least known. It looks like we are not crossing the borders. If we have crossed the border once in a while, or once in a while, you must have used the yellow card, unless you have used something else, unless you have used another document. But anyone who has crossed the border should have used the yellow card. So, yes, we shall do that, but also we shall make sure that you get to know other products. Now, to come to an end, I would like to say once again that as from tomorrow, we will be going into serious business. Tomorrow is a meeting of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, and this is a very close session. But then after the tomorrow meeting, we have the summit, which for the opening, and I believe you have registered yourself. And of course, I hope now you have learned more about Comesa, but in case you have not, Madame Regina is here, Comesa Secretariat is here. We have a booth inside there. We have an exhibition booth where all the Comesa institutions are present, and they will be giving you the information. So thank you very much, and hope to see you soon. And I hope you have benefited greatly from this session, and we would like to thank again once more our host, Madame Regina, who has been with us, representing the whole ministry, the whole government, and you, people from all over Comesa region, even from outside. So I thank you very much, and we keep being in touch. Thank you very much, moderator, for giving me 2 minutes for remaining. I'm told that I'm remaining with 2 minutes. They say, no, I've exhausted it.
That was 3 minutes ago. Thank you very much. Indeed, Dr. Dev Harman, Assistant Secretary General, Admin and Finance at Comesa. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, even the best dance must come to an end. And that is what exactly is happening at this moment. And I am inspired by the anthem of the African Union, O sons of Africa and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life. If you didn't capture anything else this day, capture that with you. We're coming to the end of this conversation, and tea break, or the final coffee break of the day, is happening just right under where we are. This is at the Lenana Hall, which is one ground do we say ground, one floor, whatever you call it, is just down here. That is where the tea is going to take place. And we also reminded that there is a very interesting conversation that will be taking place tomorrow, which is being driven by Comesa Federation of Women in Business. It's going to take place at the Shimba Hills, which is on first floor. And all of us are requested to join that conversation tomorrow, as from 9 in the a.m. to 11 in the a.m. I want to invite Betty Kiptum with a critical announcement before we can call it an evening.
Thank you, O'Brien. I have not prepared a powerful quote to end the day. However, I am informed that the people who had registered for tomorrow's farm visits, tomorrow is a continuation of yesterday's Comesa EU Horticulture Connect. So those who had registered, it is fully registered. You cannot register right now. You're reminded to be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. The buses will be ferrying you to the farms, and do not worry, you will be catered for in terms of snacks and water. So just avail yourself at 8 a.m. tomorrow in the morning, and you will be taken for your farm visits. Thank you very much. I think it's time to release you now. It has been quite the day. It has been an honor to be one of your MCs during this event. I very much appreciate your participation and your patience this far. My name is Betty Kiptum. Let us connect on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you very much. We're going to close it with a stylish clap, so let us all be upstanding. We're going to teach you something new that you can take home. And when you go, please exercise these greetings, okay? I mean, this kind of clapping. So we call it the Moi clap. You know, it is associated with a former president of this Republic of Kenya. He's now the late. So this is how we do it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sawa sawa. All right. Now I can see you're great students. All right. So and in 1, 2, 3, let's go. Thank you, everyone, for coming, for listening, for participating, and for getting the message back home. Funga, fungua. Thank you very much. Go and enjoy your tea and coffee. We wish to see you again sometimes in the future. Thank you and bye for now.